good. I could tell you a lot more stories related to that, but this is good. Okay, now here's some of the words that sometimes associated with each of these. This is telling, guiding, directing, and establishing. That's kind of what you're doing here. Here's selling, explaining, clarifying, is persuading. You're kind of doing that here. Okay, think about this, internalize it. And then if you have something to say, add to it. There's participating, encouraging, collaborating, and committing up here. And then there's delegating, observing, monitoring, fulfilling. Okay, so think about the young teenager coming in straight out of high school, going to work for you. You're telling, directing, and establishing what to do. Or the new employee coming into your company, right? And then over here, you're selling, explaining, clarifying, persuading, because you're building more of a relationship, right? Then now, see, here's another dichotomy. You're thinking, the longer they're there, the more relationship I build, right? Well, that's not what this thing says. This thing says you go back to the point where we're not building a relationship again. Does that make sense? And so now you're building a relationship, so you're selling, explaining. You already kind of get an idea of what's going on here, young man. And so now I'm gonna build you up so you can do it yourself. And then participating, encouraging, collaborating. Now we're over here. We're still building this relationship, right? And the only difference is we're starting to get away from telling you what to do and listen to you more. So we're collaborating more, and we're participating. You're participating. We're participating the better. I'm empowering you to make decisions that affect me as your boss. Now, think about this. If you were a project manager and you had a team of people, if they're a mature team of IT people or whatever they are, then you want them to make decisions because chances are they know more about it than you do. Or why did you pick them? Because if they don't know more about what you do, then you're not a very good staffer. Okay? And so you don't want to build a lid over those people. You want to become supportive of those people. Does that make sense? And you want to follow what they say because it's going to keep you out of trouble. But you also want to be in there because you're ultimately responsible, so you want to have final say. You just don't want to be the first say. Does that make sense? Okay, so now, at this point, you're trying to push them out and get away from them so you can spend time on these people. So now, you're saying, here, you can handle it as good as I can. You make all decisions. Come to me if something blows up. And that's basically what you're doing. You're not trying to build that relationship anymore. You're trying to get away from that relationship. You're trying to delegate. You're trying to get out of the way. You're trying to let them do things so that your time is spent in other ways that are more valuable. You can tell an immature manager or project manager by how many people are doing this while that project manager is working their tail off. Does that make sense? Because if you see a bunch of people doing this, you're a bad manager. What you want to do is you want to push them out. Now, if you're working 24/7, you're a bad manager because you got to staff it appropriately and you got to sell it to the people who are funding it so that you're not tearing yourself up. And this happens a lot in ministry because the ministers will die trying to serve their people. And how long will that happen? I mean, how long can you be spiritually strong and feel like God's, you're listening to God if you're working all the time and you're literally killing yourself from stress and killing yourself from not getting enough sleep and killing yourself from listening to all these terrible stories you got to listen to in some cases. I mean, how long can you survive doing that? Well, the same thing happens in project management or same thing happens in your management. You got to get enough sleep. You got to have enough family time. You got to keep yourself strong because that vehicle that you have, that's your body, has got to last in order to be effective. And I guarantee if you lose sleep, you may not know it, but you're not effective. And if you're working over, grossly over 40 hours a week, then you're still putting in about 40 hours a week no matter how long you're there because you're making so many mistakes and you're not rested, you're not relaxed, you're not making the best decisions and everything else, and you're doing rework. So there's been studies that show you basically work 40 hours a week. So you can be there 60 hours a week, you can be there 80 hours a week, but you can work 40 hours a week at actual productive, effective time. And force people to do long hours, you're still getting 40 hours a week because they're running errands on company time because they got to still run errands. Make them work 40 hours a week. Make them do really good 40 hours a week. Give them family time. Celebrate a lot, and you know you can have better. All right, these are other words: directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. Okay, as the team gets more mature, then you get over here. The same thing works with projects, right? Here's some other words associated with that: country club leader, team leader, authoritarian, impoverished leader. So if you live here where you're always not building a relationship, not participating, you're called an impoverished leader. If you live over here, you're authoritative, Theory X leader. If you live up there, you're more of a team leader, which is better. If you live over here, you're a country club leader. You're just there to have fun. Well, this sounds like you're on a wave all the time, right? So I don't want to be on this wave all the time. I want to go here, here, and here, and here, and everything else. But in actuality, as your team matures, it goes over here. So as you get the ideal situation, then you're actually moving people over here. But if you bring someone else in, you're over here. Now you may have 90% of your people over here, and you bring 10% in because you need new blood, and it kind of shakes up the situation. Have you ever been someplace where everybody's been there 30 years? Yeah. That's right. And so the point is that it doesn't matter what you think. This is what's going to happen. And so if you want to be over here all the time and you act like you're over here all the time, we call you an impoverished leader. But so you got to just know that that's not real life. It's kind of like, okay, I only eat dessert. How can I only eat dessert and be healthy? Peter just really liked that idea. But you see what I'm saying? There's reality, there's real life, and it doesn't matter what you say, because in reality, it's kind of like, well, you know, people try to make that excuse all the time. I want to justify the lifestyle I want to live. I mean, you see this in society. I'm going to justify the lifestyle I want to live. So therefore, Christians are bad people. You know, Muslims, they're bad people. All these other people are bad people. What's really true is everybody leave everybody alone, everybody have free sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and everybody get along. You know, that's the justifying the lifestyle you want to live. Now, what comes along with that is society degrades, you know, and things go wrong. And you can't just say, well, I don't like the curve, so therefore I'm not going to do it. I don't like the ups and downs. It's just that you try to move people over here as quickly as possible, and you got to keep bringing people in. Maybe you delegate that to somebody. You say, you know, Troy, you're really good over here. You get the new people. I don't know. It's just that you have to think about that.